Alright guys, so in this lesson we're going to be talking about how to identify traps in the market. What is a trap? A trap is, using multi-time frame analysis, a trap is something that, let's say a daily chart tells you to go long, a 1 hour chart tells you to go long, but the 4 hour chart tells you to go short, okay? And it doesn't align together. So a trap is something when you're using multi-time frame analysis, but the analysis doesn't fully line up. One chart is telling you to do something else, another chart is telling you to do something else. And when that happens, that should immediately create doubt in your mind. And when there's doubt, there's no trade. That's how I approach it. Write that down. When there's doubt, there's no trade. And that's a good way of approaching the market. At least that's what I have found to be a good way of approaching the market. And what we're really going to be focusing on here, I found that throughout my training that the most traps happen on IBOs, okay? And remember when we did the ACB lesson, the Advanced Continuation Breakout? Now, I told you guys that it's an aggressive strategy, it's an advanced strategy, and you might not want to execute it. You might not be ready for it yet. But I told you to know the ACB, okay? Know what it looks like, because it's gonna help you identify traps in the market. And that's what I'm talking about. There's going to be a lot of times literally where the daily chart is going to tell you to go short, the 1 hour chart is going to be a beautiful IBO, break and retest of the daily 50 MA, but the 4 hour time frame is going to be screaming bullish. And when that happens, stay away, or take the ACB, but mainly stay away. And I'm going to show you a couple examples here of how to find these traps and what they kind of look like, so that you can be ready for when they happen when you're looking at the charts yourself. So that's it, guys. Let's hit the charts, and again, I'll show you this important lesson of how to identify traps in the market. Alright guys, so in this lesson I'm going to show you how to identify traps in the market. And let's do that again. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna draw it out, because I think that's gonna be easier for you guys to identify, and then later you can find those kind of things on the charts themselves. But there's a few strategies that could potentially be traps in the market, so let me list them real quick and you guys can write it down. So a couple strategies that could potentially be traps are IBO-Bs, IBO-Cs, and sometimes ACBs, okay? And let me cover that. So I'm going to start off with the IBOs, because again, sometimes it can be a trap in the market. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to draw out the 4 hour time frame. So imagine this was a 4 hour chart, okay? 4 hour run, 4 hour drop, okay? So this is what we have on a 4 hour chart. You're looking at a setup, and this is what you have on a 4 hour chart. Let's assume this is the 4 hour 50 MA is like this, okay? So that's the 4 hour 50. Let's assume that, okay? Then the 1 hour chart would be down here. So I'm just going to draw out the 1 hour time from here. So the 1 hour chart will be something like this, maybe a double top, and then a breakdown of the 1 hour 50 MA, like that, right? So let's assume this is the 1 hour 50 MA, right? We have the 4 hour chart above, we get the 1 hour chart over here, and you can draw in your Fibonacci, right? And you might want to take the trade short right here, right? As a short position. Let's just map it out. Something like that. Just an estimated entry. And let's say this is what you want to do. The 1 hour chart fits with the IBO category, where you have a trend change, you have the breakdown, so it's an IBO. It fits, it works, okay? But the 4 hour chart is just a pullback, okay? So it's an IBO-B. The 4 hour chart is just a pullback, right? So it's an IBO-B. And check this out. When that develops, well, sometimes it's bouncing off of 0.38 to Fibonacci. Sometimes you might get like a big low test here, rejecting, and then obviously it's going to start accelerating to the upside as the 1 hour chart is giving you the pullback, right? That's why in the IBO lesson, when I started talking about the IBO-B, specifically in strategy 1 part 3, okay, that's when I discussed A, B, and C's of the IBO strategy, right? I mentioned that with IBO-B, what do you have to do? You have to be patient. You have to be sure that you're getting a lower high. You got to make sure that the 4-hour chart is going to slow down and give you a lower high, a trend change. Because at this point, the 4-hour chart is bullish. It's in a bullish trend. It's making higher highs, higher lows, right? Chances are the only reason why daily chart gave you a rejection is simply because the 4-hour chart pulled back. So this can become a trap, because if there is no deceleration here on a 4-hour chart, if this rejection, if this higher low is strong enough, this can just continue going up. And therefore, you might just pause here for a second. You might jump into the position without any good rejection, and this might just continue going up, stops you out, forms double tops on a 4-hour chart, and then gives you a proper setup. Right? So be careful of that. And my tip is, if the 4-hour chart looks like an IBOB, and you have like strong bullish price action, be cautious when taking the short trade. And what I mean by being cautious is just wait for deceleration. That's all you got to do. Make sure the 1-hour chart is decelerating. Make sure it's slowing down. Make sure maybe you have like a good reversal candlestick. Make sure you really believe that the 4-hour chart will be forming a lower high instead, and then breaking down. Right? That's what you really want to confirm, is that the 4-hour chart, based on the 1-hour kind of price action, the 1-hour deceleration, the 1-hour rejection, you believe that the 4-hour chart will instead make a lower high instead of continuing higher. Right? So just know that sometimes traps in the market can happen like that, where the 4-hour chart is still in a bullish trend, right? Whereas the 1-hour chart is giving you this breakdown. And all you really have to do, like I said, all you have to do is just wait for deceleration, wait for the 1-hour chart to kind of slow down at your entry price instead of kind of entering blind with an order. So just patience. That's all it is. It's just patience. Another example would be, well, this is kind of the same thing. Could be an ACB, right? Could an ACB look exactly like this? So an IBOB and sometimes an ACB could sometimes look the same. It just depends on how overextended this 4-hour run is. Sometimes it's kind of massively overextended. This is the first 4-hour pullback. So kind of be careful with what's happening on the charts, because what if the 1-hour chart is, what if the 1-hour time frame is also kind of doing a wedge, meaning that it's kind of maybe falling within a wedge kind of formation. You know what I mean? Following that ACB type of setup. Bounces of the 1-hour 50, breaks the 1-hour 50, and then gives you this pullback, and you believe that this might be a lower high on a rejection and a continuation short, but instead this might be just a 4-hour pullback, a 4-hour rejection of the 4-hour 50, kind of like an ACB, right? And just a breakout here on a 1-hour time frame to back up to the upside. So these kind of things, these short plays like that, when the 4-hour chart doesn't give you confirmation, they are typically traps. And it's all just the 4-hour chart. In order to find a trap, it's the 4-hour time frame. This is when I started using the 4-hour time frame, because I'm taking beautiful trades, I'm taking beautiful IBOs. Why are they losing? They're perfect, And that's when I didn't use the 4-hour chart yet. And then I put the 4-hour time frame on my charts, and I'm like, holy shit, they're losing because of the 4-hour chart didn't have any bearish confluence in my favor. That's why they're losing. So then this is where that comes in. When the 4-hour chart, write this down. If you're a day trader, right, and you're taking a trade, let's say you're taking a trade short, but the middle time frame, the 4-hour time frame or the weekly chart, whatever it is, the middle time frame doesn't confirm your analysis, that's a trap. And that should tell you to be more patient till the 4-hour chart gives you confirmation, right? And sometimes that can happen with IBOBs and sometimes ACBs as well, right? So just make sure you get confirmation. And if you don't have confirmation, it's probably going to be an ACB and it will just continue going up, right? And that's it. So make sure the middle time frame gives you confirmation, because a lot of times a trap will look like this. You have a good daily rejection, maybe you have a daily high test and the daily chart looks great. No issues with the daily chart. The 1 hour chart gives you a breakdown. It's an IBO. Great, no issues with the 1 hour chart. The daily chart is bearish, the 1 hour chart is bearish, but the 4 hour time frame is bullish. The 4 hour chart, all it has is just a pullback, right? It's with the trend. That is a trap, and that should tell you, be patient, wait for deceleration, make sure you believe the 4 hour chart is going to be forming a trend change, a lower high. And that's when you take the trade. When you believe that the 4 hour chart is giving you a lower high. That's all you got to do. So when it comes to this trap lesson, that's really all you have to understand. Does the 4 hour time frame confirm your bias? Does the weekly chart, if you're a swing trader, confirm your bias? If the answer is no, be more patient. Wait for more confirmation. If the answer is yes, take the trade, you're good to go. You know? So with IBOBs, you know, sometimes what you want when it comes to an IBOB, like you'll want to see like maybe a 4 hour height is developing at the time of the trade. Or like, again, like I said, deceleration on a 1 hour time frame with like a good candlestick formation. You know, something that's going to tell you, yes, this is a lower high. It's been decelerating for a few hours. We have a good rejection. And because of this, I believe the 4 hour chart will be instead forming a trend change with a lower high. You know, instead of just kind of jumping in without having anything. You know, at that point, you're jumping into a trap. But that is it, guys. So I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and I will chat to you all in the next one.